Using ingenious heat retention methods discovered through trial and error, they kept royal feasts warm for hours using only fire, stones, and clever physics. These survival techniques could revolutionize emergency cooking today. Families who couldn't keep food hot faced starvation, illness, and death. One cold limestone and other porous rocks exploded violently when heated, sending deadly shrapnel across kitchens and killing unsuspecting cooks. Safe stones like granite and dense river rocks were carefully released slowly to maintain consistent food temperatures. Advanced designs featured double-wall construction, creating insulation air chambers that prevented heat loss while protecting hands from burning. Specialized lids used precise fit techniques, preventing heat escape through steam while allowing controlled moisture regulation. Strategic pot placement around hearth edges maximized thermal absorption from radiant heat without risking dangerous overheating that could crack vessels. Master cooks understood thermal mass principles centuries before scientists named them. Larger, heavier pots stayed warm longer but required more fuel to heat initially. Different clay types provide potters were thermal engineers disguised as craftsmen. Haybox magic. The haybox technique represented medieval cooking's most ingenious innovation, a method that continued cooking food using retained heat alone while cooks slept or worked other tasks. Built from readily available farm materials, these insulated boxes used tightly packed straw, hay, or wool to create thermal barriers that maintained cooking temperatures for 12 to 16 hours without additional fuel consumption. The process required bringing food to full cooking temperature, then immediately transferring pots into hay-lined wooden boxes or baskets where thick insulation layers trapped heat energy. This technique essentially created slow cookers that operated without any external energy source, allowing tough meats to become tender and grains to cook thoroughly overnight. Portable versions enabled field workers and traveling groups to enjoy hot meals hours after leaving kitchens. Military campaigns used haybox cooking to feed armies without revealing positions through cooking fires that attracted enemy attention. The method worked so effectively that many dishes actually improved in flavor and texture through extended gentle cooking that modern pressure cookers try to replicate. This technique literally cooked food while you slept. Metal heat transfer. Bronze and iron plates functioned as medieval thermal batteries, storing and transferring heat through metal's superior conductivity properties that ceramic and stone couldn't match. Wealthy kitchens heated metal plates directly over coal beds until they glowed red hot, then transferred them using spinners where hot food arrived fastest while less significant guests received potentially cooler portions. Social protocols prioritized hot food distribution. Successful kitchen masters developed reputation for perfect timing that made them valuable across multiple noble households. Staff training included memorizing complex timing sequences, understanding heat retention properties of different foods.
Pan-fried flatbread. Sphinx and Anglo-Saxons cooked flatbreads on iron skillets over open fires. Archaeological discoveries at Winchester and York show flat skillet-type pans throughout the Viking world. Flatbreads took only a couple minutes each side, providing quick, nutritious meals without ovens. These pans were designed with specific thickness to distribute heat evenly without burning. Medieval blacksmiths created specialized bread cooking vessels that modern manufacturers still copy today. The technique was so effective that travelers could make fresh bread anywhere with just a portable pan and fire. Some skillets were passed down through generations as valuable family heirlooms. Norse explorers used this method during long voyages across unknown seas. Modern non-stick pans pale in comparison to medieval iron craftsmanship. However, the most revolutionary discovery, leavened bread, sustained heavy laborers through long working days. Some unleavened breads incorporated herbs and salt for flavor and preservation when individual homes lacked ovens. Medieval ovens were built outside towns due to fire risk, creating community baking. Identify them after communal baking. The system created social bonds as neighbors gathered during baking days to share news and gossip. Wealthy households sometimes owned private ovens and charged neighbors for usage, creating small businesses. Monastery ovens served surrounding communities, spreading religious influence through daily bread provision. The economics worked because shared costs made expensive oven construction affordable for entire villages. Baking schedules were strictly organized. Bread first when ovens were hottest, then pastries, finally slow-cooking stews. Some communities built seasonal outdoor ovens for harvest celebrations and festivals. The communal system ensured no family went without bread, creating medieval social safety nets. Village oven disputes sometimes required legal arbitration, showing their critical importance. Yet individual families developed private solutions to clay pot baking. Medieval people used large clay vessels as makeshift ovens by placing them over fires with dough inside. The clay retained heat evenly while protecting bread from direct flames. This technique created dome-shaped loaves with excellent crust formation. Potter workshops specialized in bread baking vessels, creating various sizes for different family needs. The clay pots were often fired with specific minerals that improved heat retention and distribution. Some regions developed signature pot designs that became trade specialties exported across medieval Europe. The technique required skill in fire management. Too hot and bread burned, too cool and it remained raw. Experienced bakers could judge perfect temperature by holding hands near pot surfaces. Clay pot baking produced distinctively flavored bread. As minerals from pottery influenced taste, the method was popular because clay pots were cheaper than building stone ovens. Broken pottery could be recycled into bread baking vessels, reducing waste. Some families owned multiple pot sizes for different occasions, small for daily bread, large for feast preparations. The pots doubled as storage containers when not used for baking. Regional clay compositions created unique bread characteristics that became local specialties. Wealthy households commissioned decorative bread pots that served as status symbols. However, scarcity forced even more creative adaptations. Multiple grain mixing. Poor people supplemented grain with peas, beans, even acorns to make edible bread during shortages. Different grains like rye, oats, barley were mixed based on regional availability. This adaptation ensured nutrition even when primary grains failed. Medieval people understood that combining proteins from various sources created more complete nutrition than single grains. Bean flour added protein content that sustained laborers through demanding physical work. Acorn flour required special processing to remove bitter tannins. Knowledge passed through generations of foragers. The mixing ratios were carefully calculated. Too many beans made bread dense. Too many oats created a crumbly texture. Some regions became famous for specific grain combinations that became regional bread specialties. Monastery records document dozens of emergency bread recipes using whatever ingredients were available during famines. The creativity extended to adding ground nuts, dried fruits, and even bark flour during desperate times. These mixed breads often provided better nutrition than pure wheat loaves preferred by wealthy classes. Some families maintained seed stocks specifically for bread making, separate from planting seeds. Knowledge of grain compatibility was closely guarded by family wisdom that determined survival rates. Trading networks developed around different grains, allowing regions to exchange specialties. The mixing techniques influenced modern whole grain bread recipes still used today. Successful grain mixing meant the difference between survival and starvation during harvest failures. Regional preferences became cultural identities tied to local growing conditions. Yet the ultimate survival technique involved long-term planning, preservation. Techniques. Medieval peasants created hardtack-style breads that lasted months without spoiling. These dense, dry breads could be portable bread ovens to feed armies on extended marches through territory.